And good morning on this Friday, the 6th of May, 2016. I'm Milton Baker, and it's my pleasure to introduce Greg McIntyre, our host for the Elder Law Report for this Friday. And good morning to you, Greg. Hello there.
Shoe fly. Go home.
Hey, yeah, we've got a visitor. He always shows up about this time.
It's a pleasure to be introduced.
Yes, sir.
Are we live on air?
We are. We are on the air.
It always amazes me. We're on the radio. 16 counties. Love doing the Elder Law Report. Been doing it for about a year now. Coming up on, I was looking, we've done tons of shows. Was looking at some of the blogs. We were looking at maybe 72 shows, something like that. Just a ridiculous number. We're going to have to do something really special for the 100th anniversary. I'm going to buy you a cake.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm baking you a cake.
Hey, carrot cake, German chocolate cake,
okay.
Either one.
German chocolate.
I'm happy with
either one is good for me, okay? So I'll bake it and we'll eat
I had German chocolate in a while.
Okay, German chocolate it is.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, audience out there. We have a very special show, as always. We have Reverend Doctor Terry Floyd with us today. And he is a Hospice Veterans Coordinator and chaplain at Hospice Cleveland County. Terry's been a chaplain at Hospice Cleveland County for 9 years now. And this, hospice in other counties that are listening are going to have very similar services. So we're going to talk about the chaplain services that hospice provide right now today. And we're also going to talk about some upcoming events and other things that you can participate in that may be very special and relevant to your experience right now. So, without further ado, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Pastor Floyd. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
I'm doing well. It's any day above ground's a good day. That's what I say. Okay.
That's right.
And anytime I start whining, and thinking that things aren't going well, or woe is me, and get down in the mouth, as maybe my grandmother would say. I remember, hey, I'm alive, I'm breathing. There's a lot of people in worse situations than I am.
That's right. Great.
And there are. So that always brings a smile to my face. That's why I always try to say, hey, I'm doing great today.
That's right.
Even if I don't feel well on a day.
That's right. We have some folks who can't dress themselves.
Right.
Can't go to the bathroom by themselves. So we are doing great.
Great. Yes. Even if I don't feel well one day. Okay. Which every once in a while, I'm not at the top of my game all the time. But if I say it, the more I say it and believe it, the better I feel.
That's
and
right.
It's just odd, the power of the mind, right?
That's right.
And so life is special, and everybody above ground today listening, celebrate your life today, and that's what we're going to talk about. So you've been a pastor for 12 years at the same church, is that right?
Yes, sir, I was. Yes, sir.
Okay, and then 9 years with hospice.
That's right.
And now you've taken on a bit of a new role with the We Honor Veterans program. Is that right?
That's right. And I'm very excited about the We Honor Veterans program. It gives us a chance to serve our veterans and tell them one last time how much we care, and not only tell them, but to show them how much we care.
Absolutely. Not just lip service, but back that up with actions.
Yeah, great, because every soldier has a face, name, a unique experience. They have triumphs and victories during their service to our great country. And so it gives us the opportunity to serve them. As we entrusted them to take care of us, now we want them to trust us in taking care of them.
To take care of them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so let's talk about your general chaplain duties. Not that they're mundane; they're just different from the veterans role you've taken on now, in addition to your chaplain duties. But you've been doing this chaplain thing with hospice for 9 years, and that's, to me, amazing, because that has to wear on you. That hospice is taking care of patients out there who in home, right, and who are not always in the best of conditions physically.
Right.
And you're coming in to offer comfort, solace, spiritual relief to not only the patient, but the family as well.
That's right.
And in my experience in dealing with hospice workers who are all amazing, they are ministering or caring as much for the family as they are for the patient that's getting treatment.
That's correct.
And you probably are no different. Is that right?
That's right. And I would add that we go into the home, but also we go into facilities as well. In the counties we serve Cleveland, Gaston, and Lincoln County, and we go in and serve them. We serve the patients and the families. And the question is asked many times: could we serve the patient more or the family? I would say it's equal. We serve them both. Depending on the family, they may have a different need of what we need to give them. So we meet them where they are. We always say they're the captain of the ship.
They're the captain of the ship. And now, first, talking about it wearing on you, or being it for 9 years, that would seem like, I've, as an attorney, let me relate it to what I know, because that's all I can do. I have worked as what I like to call a door lawyer for a long time before I was an elder lawyer. And that was dealing with criminal law, civil suits, divorces, tearing families apart, using my talents in ways that I was not always proud of. And at the end of the day, it was very stressful for me and wore on me over a number of days that compiled day after day, after year, and that's why a lot of times trial attorneys will check out early. They have really high rates of suicide, substance abuse, and early death because it's a stressful job. And I had to develop ways to cope. Luckily, I had a great church family. I had a great wife who supports me and loves me, and I had a reason to really work hard every day and show up, which was our children. First, I guess when I became an attorney, we had 2 children, and now 6. So Daddy's got a reason to go to work, even if he doesn't feel like it. And I've whined and complained and moaned, and my wife's the kind that'll tell me to pick myself up by the bootstraps and get out the door and go to work. I need to make a living, and she should. I need that support, right? Because sometimes I'll whine or, man, it's going to be a tough day, or come home whining about it, and I'm, but in elder law is a little bit different. It's a feel-good area of law for me, okay? Because I help people, and it's a win-win for the families, all right? Which I love that about it. But it took me a long time to find my way to that path. And I had to develop coping mechanisms to deal with my job. I would imagine that it is sometimes overwhelming, the job you do day in, day out with patients. Am I right? Am I wrong?
You're right. I deal with grief, death, and dying every day, and it's hard seeing people die. It's even harder for me to see the heartbroken families, and I try to care for that by realizing that God has called me to this vocation, and I call it the sticking stuff. If it wasn't for that simple element, there have been days that I probably would walk away and not come back. But I love the job that I do because I don't see it as a job. I see it as a ministry. And so in trying to make sure that I take care of myself and my co-workers and staff, because I'm not only charged with the responsibility of taking care of patients and families, but also the staff at Hospice Cleveland County.
Right.
So one of the things that I try to do, Greg, is to, when I know my day ends mentally when I get into my truck, and my truck's a little loud. I've been told it roars the seat of the secretary when I pull in the driveway, but whenever I start the truck up, I know my day's ended there and I'm going home. When I first started hospice, it wasn't that way. I couldn't sleep for 3 weeks because I would see dead faces, and eventually over time that went away. And my supervisor she has a coping mechanism, and I love it. She says, when I walk in the door and place my keys in a bowl and I hear them ringing, then I become a mother and a wife, and I separate myself. So we do have to have boundaries so that we don't burn out, but going back to the divine appointment of vocational calling is what
you say calling, that really resonates with me. I feel like what I do is also a calling, and I can look back on my life and see everything that kind of led me to the point of what I'm doing right now. So I think that's great to have a calling. That's what we all need. And what you do is amazing. And so moving on to how you offer chaplain services to hospice patients and families. So you go in a home, right?
Yes, sir.
And how do you make that initial contact with the family?
Well, we always call before we go out, and so when we have permission to go out and visit, we walk in. And when I first came to work at hospice, one of the questions during my interview was, what will you do with a family when you first meet them? And my answer was simple, it was to develop a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So when I walk in, I am invited in onto the holy ground, into their home, so I tread very carefully and delicately to develop a relationship with folks. And I know this may not make sense to a lot of folks, but it's kind of like going to a mechanic. When you pull your car up, that mechanic can listen to what's going on with that motor and determine a diagnosis of what's going on. I know that some of our patients live long enough we discharge them from our care, but also there are some that are not going to be with us long, and I don't have a lot of time in cases to, so I have to expedite the development of a relationship with these folks. And I do that by listening to what they're saying. I look around their walls, see if they have any religious artifacts sitting around, Bibles, if they do, if they don't. I listen to what they're saying, what they're talking about, where they have no peace, where they have concerns, if they have ambivalence with family, and we can't fix every family, but we do our best to pull families together, to pull pastors in, and our pastors are great in the community about servicing their people, but to pull everyone together so that the person, when it comes time to take their last breath, that they have as peaceful and good a death as they can have. And I know it's strange for us to say, well, to have a good death, and that's hard to talk about, but there are deaths that are not so good. But I have to say, in my time with hospice, I've only been around one situation that was, it was just a different spirit in the room, is the best way I can describe it, and it was scary. So, but our nurses do a great job of pain management. They're experts in what they do. Our social workers are fantastic in reaching out. They get to know the patient, and with our veterans, they also do their military checklist to know that veteran. And so our grief counselors, CNAs, I'm going to tell you, our patients love our nurses and CNAs. They're the ones that keep them out of pain and clean. But also a new study's out now that says that one of the major concerns at the end of life now is the psychological and spiritual aspect. So we try to offer a balance of taking care of the physical, spiritual, and psychosocial of our patients and families.
Absolutely, absolutely. So sometimes, you go in. Would you say who needs your services the most, the patient or the family members?
Well, the patient, in most cases, has already dealt with their illness and what they're going through, and they're more realistic than the family. And so, something dependent upon the family, I would say the family mostly, but then again, if you have a patient that, I had a patient one time who cried every time I walked in the door. I felt so bad because the chaplain represents death or dying. When I make a telephone call to follow up with a caregiver, first thing I've learned to say is everything's okay, because they're going, what's wrong with mom or what's wrong with dad? So I try to be very careful in that area.
Okay. And so what are some, I bet you've experienced just tons of different stories and situations over the last 9 years. Are there any, without naming names or anything, are there any that you could share with us today?
Well, I'll start off with one. It's just the first one that comes to my mind. I met this lady and her family, and They didn't live in the best of conditions, but they were the most precious family I've ever met. She was lying crossways on her hospital bed. Her pain was controlled, but if she moved a lot, she was in pain. And she invited me to come and sit on her hospital bed and lean back on a ton of pillows. And we sat there or lie there for quite some time just talking. Good old down-to-earth folks, and that's what I am. Just an old country boy, and we lay there and talked. So I got a call back the next day, and went out there. She was actively dying, and on her bed where she was dying, she called myself and her husband, and she had talked previously about her husband being the most kind, gentle man that she had ever met, and how good he was to her. And she proceeded to tell her husband, "I want you to meet the chaplain." Said, "He's just like you are. He's one of the most kind and gentle men that I've ever known in my life, next to you." And I just had to turn around and walk out of the house. It broke my heart to know that someone on their deathbed, fixing to take their last breath, and she died within 4 hours that day, thought that much of somebody like me. That's one story that comes to mind. And, oh, here we go. I've just debated telling this one or not, but we had a family who was just great. When I first met him, he had a problem with his lip, and he slobbered really badly. And when I first met him and talked to him about the second or third visit, he wanted to make things right with his God, and he did, and we prayed. But come to learn, this family loved to talk about flagellation and his days in high school. And it's okay to laugh. I need some support here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he liked to talk about that.
Who doesn't like to talk about that? Come on. I started that in kindergarten. It never stopped. That's
right. So anyways, it brought him comfort and joy to talk about his times in high school and the home, and his mother was his caregiver, and would talk about how really bad it was at times, and they would laugh until they cried. And I was reminded of a country song that says, "We laughed until we cried." And every time I left that day, the social worker and I would, and the nurse sometimes we would just shake our heads and laugh about what this patient who was dying, and he was with us for about a year and a half, but he loved to talk about this issue, and it just brought him so much comfort. So we met them where they were, and I'm an agonizer, so I egged it on as we went through, and that was a story. And I'll share one more to sort of bring it back down a little bit. We had a veteran under our care passed away not too long ago. And as I walked in, he shared with me how Hospice Cleveland County had shown him more respect than anyone had in years for his service to our country. We took him a wreath, red, white, and blue wreath that one of our volunteers makes. And we talked and made a connection. We talked about his service. He was a man of faith. Here he is in a wheelchair, and I start out the door after we had prayer, and he saluted me. And myself being a former soldier, I snapped to attention and saluted him, and walked out with tears in my eyes with someone who was on their last leg of this life would salute me. And it just brought a camaraderie between the two of us. He started requesting me to come out and visit with him almost every other day. And so that's a story that'll hold dear in my heart, burn in my mind till the day I'm gone.
That's a great story. All those are great stories, and including the funny story, right?
That's right.
But that's, hey, I mean, in that grim situation, if the family, accompanied by the chaplain who's bringing spiritual services there and talking about those issues with the family and peace, can also have some comedy, have some levity, in their lives and in that situation to cut through. That's great. We talked about meeting the family where they are. If the family deals with issues like that, joking, you can go down that path too. Your jokes for two, right?
That's right.
And if they want to be serious, you can accommodate that. But I guess you're very used to rolling with or fitting in situations like that, especially going in those stressful, intense situations. You've got to be.
That's right.
You've got to be. So yes, let's talk about the new role We Honor Veterans program, okay? Because that's where we ended, was a veteran story where you took a patriotic wreath out there. Tell me about that. What is the veterans program, and how does that work differently from your regular chaplain duties? Sounds like you're just really making sure that those veterans are honored, as they might not get that full honor or feel that from the rest of the citizens and community and family throughout their life. You make sure that they feel that when hospice is involved. Is that right?
That's right. I think it was about 2010, the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization started this program, We Honor Veterans, and it's simply a way to say thank you and make sure that our veterans know that they were and are appreciated in this life. And if it was service disability or their illness was a result of being in the armed force or being in war or something, and non-connected means that it wasn't. We had a patient the other day, our social workers really do a great job to try to get all the help they can for our veterans, and found out that one guy, he was receiving aid and attendance but couldn't receive any more because his illness was not service connected. So we've done all we could, but the Veterans Administration was helping them greatly. And I've met with Deborah Kahn at the VA here on Marion Street in Shelby several times, and they're there to serve our veterans, and that's our main resource. If our social workers don't know, they go there or to an elder law such as yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, Deborah does a great job helping veterans in Cleveland County, and every county out there will have a representative, I believe, in their county, or should, that veterans and families can check with about benefits programs, things of that nature. You were speaking about veterans aid and attendance, and veterans aid and attendance is a lifelong benefit that if you qualify in a healthcare crisis, you get paid a check that can be used to pay for in-home care, assisted living care, nursing home care, adult daycare, for any service like that. And for two married veterans, it's up to around $27.50 a month. For a single veteran, it's or for a veteran, only one of the couple is a veteran, it would be $17.88 per month for the veteran. And it goes down from there. Whether the spouse of a veteran can qualify, the spouse of a deceased veteran could qualify.
Such as the foreign war. I've been involved down at the post 4066 in Shelby, and they are just great people willing to help Hospice Cleveland County in any way we can to reach out to the veterans and to make sure they're getting what they need. And we are currently working on putting together a veteran-to-veteran interest group so that we have our veterans, some volunteer veterans, going out to visit with our veteran patients who all have unique needs, which we talked about earlier in the program. So I've had the opportunity to meet some great people, and everywhere I go, it's appreciative. I don't think that you can go wrong talking about veterans.
I agree. We want to help all our seniors, but you are taking on this new role, We Honor Veterans program, and implementing that through hospice. Do other hospices out there in the other counties in Western North Carolina, do they also have a We Honor Veterans program, or We Honor Veterans program?
They do. Not all hospices have done that. I'm thinking that the statistics I saw was a little over 100,000 hospices have participated in this. Not only hospices, but we have funeral services in the Gaston area where we serve that is actually a level 4 We Honor Veterans. When I came into this, we were at level 1, and I turned in 2 weeks ago the paperwork for level 2, so we're working on our level 3 now. And what that simply means is get some guidelines set up in place that allows hospices and other organizations who become involved in this to stay focused on our veterans and to learn more about the veterans and to do more. For example, I have in obtaining a different level, I need to do so many presentations within our staff, within the community, within DSO organizations. I need to stay in contact with our local VA, state hospice. So there's a lot of work, a lot of footwork in getting out and doing these things to earn the levels. But it's not all about earning the level. It's all about caring for our veterans and making sure they get what they need and deserve the honor and respect that they deserve so greatly.
You know, there may be people out there right now listening who are wondering, hey, how can I get in touch with you? How can I have this gentleman or this program come out and minister to my veteran, the veteran in my life, the one who may be suffering from illness right now, who needs to be honored and needs to be cared for? How can someone get in touch with you and your team?
They can just call Hospice Cleveland County at 704-487-4677. Once again, that's 704-487-4677. And our receptionist will put them in touch with the person that they need to speak with.
Reverend Floyd, can you tell us, do you have any upcoming events?
Yes, we do. We have a veteran-to-veteran interest group that's coming up. It's going to be held on May the 24th. That's a Tuesday. We have two separate times at 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. And we do this so it's convenient to working folks if they work. But this is a veteran for our volunteers, but it's specifically related to veterans who want to volunteer for veterans, because veterans can have something in common with another veteran, and have already seen a good response of some men and women who are going to be involved in this.
That's great. That's great. So love to see tons of veterans and others participate in this and other events that you have coming up. I appreciate you, Reverend Floyd, coming on the show today and talking about, just really digging deep and talking about the seriousness of what you do and the awesomeness of what you do and what hospice does, and honoring veterans and helping seniors and others as they go through, and their families as they go through healthcare crises.
Yes,
so thank you so much for being our guest today, and thank you, Milton, for having us.
Okay.
I appreciate that. And I'm Greg McIntyre. I'm the Elder Law Guy, and this has been the Elder Law Report. Each week we will bring you important and informative information that seniors and their families should know and need to know. So tune in next week, where we'll bring you another great show. And if you need to get in touch with me, the Elder Law Attorney side of me, or my office, you can call us at 704-259-7040. We truly believe in, try to, and do help seniors protect their assets and legacies. And as a kid growing up, I loved every Perry Mason black and white rerun I could get my hands on. And I watched them growing up, even at play school, in the TV room. They'd put on the television, it'd be Perry Mason reruns. And I love Perry Mason and Andy Griffith. I've seen every one of those 10 times. And man, he would just take that prosecutor to cleaners. Every single time. They could have let him win one time, don't you think?
No, not
Never?
Perry had.
All right, so in the spirit of Perry Mason, let's honor him by playing us out. Okay? Thank you so much.
And thank folks for tuning in. We'll see you next week right here next Friday morning, right after the 10 o'clock news and weather.
Thanks, Milton. That was good. Thank you so much. Sorry I had to get up there a little bit, but my